the Faculty of Natural Sciences and Engineering from the University of Ljubljana. So now a bit about the project and about this webinar. Today's topic is on green transition within Industry 5.0. And this is today's agenda. After the initial presentation of our project aims and goals very shortly, we will have a keynote on this topic from Assistant Professor Matteo De Marchi from University of Bolzano, who will introduce us to green transition, global trends and policies, which will serve as a nice icebreaker to the following topics. Then in the next section, we will have four different keynotes on use cases from this field. So we'll have testimonials, use cases, practical examples, how technology can support green transition, reduce waste, and make this usage of technology in a more sensible way for SMEs. After that, we'll have a short break with Slido. So also the attendees are kindly welcome to express their opinions, whether in the chat or via the Slido surveys. We will post the links in the chat, and also you'll find the QR codes in these presentations shortly. After this, so after we answer all of your questions and present your feedback on this topic on the webinar, we will proceed to the next section. This will be a panel discussion, which will be kindly moderated by my colleague, Mr. Matej Kirn from the Technology Park of Ljubljana. And here we have also three distinguished guests who will discuss these topics. And after this, we will close our webinar with takeaway notes and also again answer any questions you might have. So welcome to the webinar, and please pay attention to these two QR codes. Also, please find the links to these surveys in the chat sections. The second QR code and the link is for the Slido. This is an interaction short survey where we wish to gather your input on the topics of today's webinar, as well as your feedback on the webinar itself. And after the webinar ends, also please feel free to express your opinions, suggestions, improvements in the post-webinar survey, which is in the link in the left QR code, and also please find it in the chat section. Now, a little bit about our project. So why these webinars are for, what they're about. We are involved in a project called RECENTRE, which is part of the Interreg Alpine Space EU funding scheme. The full title is Support the Green Transformation of the Alpine Manufacturing Sector and the Uptake of Advanced Technologies for the Well-being of Workers. In shortly, we wish to help advance SMEs in the Alpine region to use efficiently digital technologies within the scope of Industry 5.0 to achieve better economic results, better solutions, reduce waste, and so on. So this is the main idea. The project started in 2024 and it will last until 2027. There are 13 partners involved, and these webinars are part of the dissemination, as well as, let's say, invitation activities for you to participate to the results of this project. A little bit more about the project. So the main activities and the results of this are the development in final of 20 SMEs to help them in their transition plans, and also develop investment assessments and business plans. So how to use advanced technologies, for example, XR technologies, AI, to transform their processes to be more resilient, more economically efficient, more energy efficient, and of course to support the climate change agenda. So these are the main topics. We will also support and contribute to the creation of guidelines and methodologies to do this, and also to the regulations that will support this for the local and national governments. And we will also demonstrate this in pilot projects so that we will show that our solutions actually work and have long-lasting impact. We are also closely collaborating with local and regional stakeholders, as well as municipalities and governments. So please feel free to check more about our project on the website. And on the right side, you can see all of the respective partners that are involved in this project, with the lead partners from the Technology Transfer and Innovation Center in Italy. Now, to the first point of this webinar, we will have an introductory keynote from Assistant Professor Matteo De Marchi from the University of Bolzano, who is specialized in the field of intelligent product systems. So he will introduce us to the green transition topics with global trends, policies, also challenges, maybe some obstacles, and how to solve them. And also, please take the survey and ask questions. So, Professor Matteo, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me properly, first of all?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes. Now let me share my screen so that you also see my few slides. I'm not gonna bother you too much. I would like to leave the floor as soon as possible to my colleagues who are going then directly in the core of the meeting, right? So here I would only like to provide you with some information about how the Industry 5.0 concept is today coming together with the idea of the green transition and sustainability more in general. So do you confirm you see my slides?
Yes, we do.
Good. So I will try not to steal more than 10 minutes from this interesting webinar. First of all, thank you everybody for having me today. It's a pleasure. Even though I'm not seeing you, I hope you're seeing me. I'm talking to you from the Free University of Bolzano. We are in the very northern part of Italy. And as I've been already quite well introduced, I am an assistant professor here at the Free University of Bolzano. And today we're going to talk briefly about the introduction to the green transition in the Industry 5.0 era. So starting with a brief introduction, then going through fundamental concepts that will support you throughout the webinar of today, finally presenting a few challenges. So first of all, if we start with the context where we are living today, industrially speaking, we are shifting now from Industry 4.0 towards Industry 5.0. So what's Industry 5.0 is about, we're going to see it in the next slide, but actually, we have to recognize that Industry 4.0 represented a groundbreaking technological push. This means that we had a lot of innovation coming from technological providers, and the industry well accepted this technological push in order to be more productive, in order to be more efficient in the production. But now we are more focusing on how we are using this technology. And we have three main focuses during the Industry 5.0 era, not saying that 4.0 is over yet, but they are somehow overlapping. So we are building on top of 4.0 when we say 5.0. So we have the focus on social, on environmental and economical sustainability, then on resilience and on human centricity. A little technically speaking, we are dealing a lot with cyber-physical production systems or cyber-physical systems in general and connectivity. Not that we didn't have them before today, but nowadays their presence in our factories are more and more important. So we have to cope with this type of systems, and we have to become better and better in managing them and taking the best out of them. But we also have to embrace the limitations and the challenges that these systems provide. So for example, we have to display a very wide knowledge in order to manage these type of systems with respect to traditional production systems. And we also have to pay attention to a few things in order to be the most efficient and the most effective as possible by using these things. For example, one of the biggest themes that comes to my mind is the one of big data, where big data today is not always correctly understood, because big data let us think about a huge amount of data, but it's not only that. The big data concepts involve several different aspects, and maybe some of the listeners already know that. For example, we are dealing with the veracity and the velocity of the data, then of course with the volume of the data, but then also with the variety and with the velocity that we create this information. So we have to display knowledge in order to be able to manage all the data that we create, but not only due to its amount, due to its volume, but also to be able to get the most out of the data that we want. And we say we handle everything, because in modern factories, in modern settings, we always hear this thing about data. But at the end of the day, the question is, what can I do with this data that I have in my mind and in my service? Am I able to transform that into information, in order then to use this information to finally optimize my system, my supply chain, and so on. And for the topic of today, with the object of becoming more sustainable from a green perspective. But for this introduction, the aim, as I said, is about sustainability, so meaning the green side. But we quickly understand that sustainability will not only be concerning the green aspect, not only the planet, but it will be also something more. So about Industry 5.0, there are three main pillars, I would say, that are generally understood and shared among the practitioner community as well as from the scientific community. We have three main concepts: human centricity, resilience, and sustainability. So human centricity, starting with that, has the focus on the human being. Why? Industry 4.0 represented the technological push, as we said, but we may have forgotten a little how to include the human being into our systems. And with systems, I do not only mean the shop floor, so where our machines actually operate, but every layer of our hierarchy in our organization, from the shop floor, so from the blue collars, up to the white collars and even the C-levels. So the question is, how are the priorities and how are the tasks delivered to each of these figures going to change with the technologies that we have today? How can I take the most out of the human being system, and how can I make it more and more efficient together with the technologies that I have today, from the simplest one up to the most complex and cutting edge one? Then we have resilience. Why resilience? Because today one of the biggest challenges of industry is being resilient. We have seen in previous years that how unexpected event can be extremely disruptive for the entire supply chains, therefore putting at risk the final goal of the companies and the ability to produce their final product. Therefore, resilience is in focus also. Third point of Industry 5.0 is sustainability. So here we integrate different concepts, and if we focus on sustainability, it is worth to take in the concept of the triple bottom line, or known also as TBL. Here we have three main perspectives. So we have the people, we have the planet, and we have the profit. And this is the modern view on sustainability. Sustainability, until a few years ago, it only meant the planet. Okay, when I wanted to be sustainable, I wanted to be green. I wanted to be efficient for my planet and do not be disruptive for the environment. Today, we have to understand this thing as a triple perspective, where the planet is one of them, while the other two are the people, so the society, and the other one is the profit, so the economic aspect. If you think about that and you put these concepts in a triangle, you will see that they will support each other as well as they will limit each other at the same time. We always say this is a too short blanket. Okay, it's winter, it's quite cold around here, and when you go to bed in the evening, you want to have your blanket that is long enough to cover all of your body. But here the blanket is too short, and you have to be as efficient as possible in order to cover all the part in the best way achievable. Okay, so the focus on people joins the social aspect of Industry 5.0, so the human centricity. The aspect for the planet, so being green, being efficient from a carbon footprint perspective, for example, is also fundamental, but we cannot forget about the profit, right? Because the companies, any type of company, has the final aim to have profit and margin at the end of the day, right? But today we cannot forget about the other two perspectives, so the people and the planet. So you see that if you focus on one, you will also try to serve the other two, right? And this is an infinite loop, so to say, that we have to continuously optimize. Finally, in my opinion, which are the main challenges when we're talking about green transitions? And then we will see more, of course, with the best practices that are coming in the next presentations. So I'm talking about challenging and issues, but these are points, okay, that are our objectives, but also our limitations, let's say, something that we have to become better at, and some limitations that we have to overcome somehow. So somebody may argue we have high initial costs. So if I'm not an expert in that and I have to start a project in the green transition field, I may think that I should incur into high initial costs in order to get better at the green and be good in the green transition. And this affects especially small and medium enterprises, where resources may be limited, not only from the economics perspective, but also from the availability of human resources and the time that we have at our disposal in order to achieve different goals that are not part of my business logic and my core business. Then the supply chain sustainability and the transparency of the supply chain. We may be very, very good and very, very proficient in optimizing our own factory, our own environment, but then what about the rest of the supply chain? We have to deal also with upstream and downstream supply chain actors that have to ensure their proficiency in and the transparency in the green transition. Why? Because if I am one of the main rings of a chain and I am the strongest ring of this chain, what about the other ones? And we know that a chain breaks always on its least performing ring, right? Therefore, we have to ensure that the entire supply chain satisfies the objectives that we have. Then, of course, what is known as energy efficiency and the decarbonization aims at reaching the net zero emissions. But we also have to question ourselves, what does net zero actually mean? What is the goal of net zero? And is the net zero actually the final goal that we want to reach? Net zero, mind that, doesn't mean that we have no emissions. It means that we have emissions maybe, but we are compensating them somehow. All right, but we can take this as first huge step into the green transition, but then for sure there is to make more to reach the decarbonization level, right? Finally, circular economy implementation. This is something that we know very well. Today, one of the biggest challenges is to have our products that can be recycled or reused or upscaled or upused at the end of their life cycle, right? So that we have to imagine a never-ending life cycle of a product where the first life of a product is known, but then what happens at the end of the life of a product must also be known a priori when we are designing the product in its infancy. All right, so there are a few things that we should keep in mind. And I hope, and I know that in the next presentations, you are going to get very specific feedback on this. And you're gonna go through some of the best main practices that we have around, and we will take the best out of the knowledge of our next speakers. So by my side, this is all, and I thank you for your kind attention, and I invite you to join the next part of the webinar.
Professor De Marchi, thank you very much for your keynote and setting the mood for this webinar very nicely. And now I would give the word to my colleague, Ms. Denise Hribar, who will introduce our distinguished keynote speakers, who will present each one very interesting use case from their experience, how green and circular works within their environments. Please, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay, so just remember that we still have the Slido link for you to engage and answer, still on, and after the keynote speakers, we're gonna get the result. So, so now we're gonna have the best practice. So first, we're gonna have Jan Vidic. He's the founder of Nocto Code. and an active member of the group of electrical engineering. His academic focus involved course in telecommunication, network, signal processing, optical communication, software development, culminating in a seminar on Java-based online system and master thesis. So, Jan Vidic, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Jan. I come from Ljubljana, Slovenia. I'm a founder of a company, Noctocode, in Ljubljana, and we are mainly focusing on the AI and blockchain solutions. And we also do software on demand. Today, I'm going to present you one of our use cases, AI-powered solution for public tenders, because as part of Industry 5.0, AI is becoming the big part of the industry and making sure that the advancements in the Industry 5.0 help, let's say, the human and the whole circle of processes. The challenge that we solved in this example is we had a client that had a lot of time-consuming processes of preparing grant applications. They had a lot of documents, large volumes of data because they had a long history, I think more than 20 years of grant applications, and these documents were lacking structure. So what they needed to do is they needed to apply on new grants with references from the old projects. What that meant was they had to involve a large amount of people to just browse these old applications and reference them in new ones, because they needed to have in the new ones, as part of the grant application, they needed to apply with references from the old ones. And this was a very cumbersome, let's say, process that didn't really use the best energy that humans are supposed to provide in the Industry 5.0. Also, one thing is this project needed to be accurate in referencing and document preparation. So what we used here, we used LLM models, so large language models, and we used RAG, specifically Retrieval Augmented Generation System, which allowed the client to automatically scan and index the whole company, entire project history. We managed to get all the old documents into the system, and then we just retrieved relevant information for assessment and grant application. So then we pulled out a new grant application, the AI scanned the application, and then it went into the next step with the knowledge from the old applications to do automatic grant application filling. In this process, the AI analyzed what's needed in the new one based on the previous applications. We also taught it how to do this more effectively, and then it matched it with old applications, and then it pulled out relevant project details, expert profiles of people that were employed, contractors, or other partners and references. And then the smart document generation was done, meaning that we got back a full grant application that had all the information that was needed, automatically included all the references, everything was prepared to be submitted forward. And then in this process, also a human was involved to manage and monitor the output of the AI. Also, what the AI did, it also maintained an up-to-date database. So anytime somebody wants to go and check what the company did, does it have experience in this field, the AI database has that, and through the process of the current communication channel with AI, which is most usually chat, you can talk to your AI, personal AI, that also has history of your company, and then it allows you to get information easily that would otherwise be cumbersome to find, because you would need to look at many documents that are long and hard to do. So benefits in this case are time savings, so reduce hours spent on manual data entry, automate time-consuming tasks, project, and reducing project timelines. So with this, we want to really improve the processes and spare some time that people do to spend them on other things. also improved accuracy because human error happens, and with a lot of projects there has to be a lot of double checking. With an AI that is much simpler, we can also improve the AI in a way that it also rescans applications how it did it. So we'll get to that a bit later. Also show an example of multi-agent where we can also do checks later of the AI with the AI. And then consistency, ensure uniform across all documents. So once you have this process done, the applications are super simple. Enhance competitiveness, so you can submit more high quality grant applications, meaning you can create more content on shorter time frames. And compliance, what the AI can do with plugging it into, let's say, the risk database, it can also check the new compliance regulations that are coming out and also suggest where might be potential to also look into that. And obviously resource optimization, which is the point of this experience, to allocate human expertise to high value tasks, maximizing productivity and also giving them a more purpose-driven tasks. So an example, just to recap, a new grant opportunity arises, the company then has an AI that scans the grant requirements. With RAG, they retrieve relevant projects and expert profiles from your database, from the company's database. The system auto fills the application forms, generates a draft of everything that needs to be done, and then there's just a human review and finalize of the application, meaning that the process of this goes down by a lot. The process can reduce application preparation time from days to hours, allowing you to focus on strategic aspects of your proposals, and that also means that you can get through this much faster and also add added value elsewhere. In general, the purpose of this was to streamline grant application procedures. This was the use case, but it is applicable to any other similar use cases. So, for example, the AI, as it's growing and evolving, is going to be part of our lives, and we need to embrace it, and we need to learn how to use it. Within the Industry 5.0, integrating AI into our processes is therefore becoming a necessity, because there's always growth and speed improvements, and this is kind of one of the things that really pushes this thing forward. And yeah, this leaps forward the ability to conduct thorough, efficient, and accurate assessment. And then, as part of the Industry 5.0, what is also the purpose of this is to create human-centric, sustainable, and resilient processes. I think where we're going to get to is everybody's going to have an AI assistant that's going to help them with their daily tasks that are mostly cumbersome and manual, and they can be automated. And they're going to be more intelligent, not just automation as we know it today, but with the AI, they're also going to be more personalized. And with multi-agent systems, we're going to get to a point where, for example, here's an example of such a system for writing articles where you create multiple agents within this multi-agent system. And let's say one agent is a researcher that creates an article, one that researches for the article, writer writes it, and then publisher publishes. And there is a manager agent that coordinates all the agents, all the prompts within the system. So in this scenario, you could add also within here, I don't know, another agent that would recheck what the writer agent wrote and so on. And then you just task the human into the processes wherever is needed for the added value. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Jan, for the very great presentation. Now we're gonna have another very great speaker. Now we're gonna have Johanna Gruber.
Hello.
She holds just a short introduction. She holds a master's degree in resource efficient and sustainable building from the Technical University of Munich. She has been working as a research assistant at the Sustainable Manufacturing Lab at the Free University of Bolzano, focused on sustainability and the circular economy, engineering, education, and construction. And she will present the EduC project.
Thank you.
Okay, now the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Not yet. Yeah, now we can.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me to present you the best practices from the Interreg project EduCirc. I'm firstly presenting you the project in general, and then we will look at the best practices at first at macro level, then at meso level, and finally we are looking at some challenges that remain. The EduCirc project is has the goal, or the project title is Cross-Border Network for Education and Training in the Circular Economy and Decarbonization in Production. It is an Interreg project between Italy and Austria, and it's about raising awareness and to create training measures to promote the long-term potential of the circular economy and decarbonization in production companies. We are in total 4 partners from Italy. We are the Free University of Bolzano and TDUI, which is also part of the RECENTRE project. And the other 2 are from Carinthia, which are the Carinthian University of Applied Science, and the BFI, which is a vocational training institute. Our target groups are pupils from schools, as university students, teachers, and professionals. And we want to create best practice principles, methods, and instruments. And for the 3, so we are looking at 3 major sectors in the Alpine region, which are woodworking, construction, and automotive. The best practices I will show you in the next slides, they are mostly general and not related to these 3 sectors. To get the best practice, I shortly explain you the methodology. So first, we did an online survey for the initial assessment with the companies. With the outcome of this online survey, we then went directly to the companies for an interview of about 1 to 2 hours to get some deeper insight, and also to make a small factory tour to see what they are really doing. Afterwards, we did some synthesis of the resulting potential. We did this for the general best practices, but also for each sector. So first, as I said, I want to talk about the best practices at micro level. So it's about what can one's company do. And in my opinion, one of the most important things is sensitization, which is not a technological solution, but it's very, very important. And here, integral part is that the company really incorporates the sustainability in their mindset or in the corporate mindset, and that they practice it in the company and work as a role model for the employees and also for other companies. This could be, for example, with a building that is constructed in a sustainable way, that they provide bicycles for the employees to come to the company or to make some shorter tours in the city, for example, or charging stations for e-cars, avoidance of paper, or to have maybe a canteen which looks a lot on sustainable products. So there is a lot of ways to create, to sensibilize the people. Second thing is energy, where it's firstly about reduction of energy and also improving the efficiency through building systems like so it's more efficient, for example, if you use floor heating, ceiling heating instead of maybe a radiator, because it's you can go in the system with less temperature, and less temperature means also less energy is necessary. But another thing which is important is that you don't have to just consider big or systems which reduce the energy in a big way. It can also you can also have good results if you adjust your energy consumption through small adjustments. For example, I visited a company where they really tried to change small things, like really they reduced the room temperature for 1 degree. They installed programmed light with light sensors that shut down in the evening, or the blinds shut down in the evening. They also tried to automatically shut down the PCs in the evenings, which was not the best thing. But they really tried a lot of things, and with all of the small adjustments, they could decrease the energy consumption by about 75%. So there is a lot of you can do a lot with small adjustments. Furthermore, you can also look or try to purchase local green electricity or local heat from local district heatings. And also one thing is that you can also produce your own green energy and support your consumption, which helps to reduce the energy you need from maybe other companies or from the market. Furthermore, important for the companies is we could see that automation and data processing increases also the efficiency because it optimizes the use of resources, and especially the integration of data processing is important. So probably, or for example, you can implement a tool which measures the CO2 that it derives from the process, and then you can see maybe that it's increasing a lot, and you know exactly where the emissions occur, and it enables you to act rapidly. The next point of logistics maybe is especially important for construction site, but I think it's also important for other companies, because in construction site you have a lot of transport, but not only transport of cars but also of machines and of people. And it's really, really important to optimize the management of to optimize the logistics management, so you can be more efficient without losing productivity. And it can also help you to install low energy transport fleets and mesh it, for example, also the ones that work with electricity or with biofuels, and so on. And lastly, one of the major things in companies was that they had a lot of waste in cardboard and paper, especially for packaging. And here a good thing could be that you try to avoid packaging through maybe, if it's possible, maybe you can buy your materials package free on just in the raw barrels, or maybe it's possible to use reusable packagings. If that's not possible, then you can maybe also try to look at for alternative materials, for example, recycling materials or renewable materials. Like, for example, you can make plastic out of sugarcane, or maybe there are some new materials on the market now. But another way could be also that you try to reduce the amount of packaging you need by adapting the packaging exactly to the product needs, so that you don't need also filling material. So looking at the meso level, it's mostly about industrial symbiosis. So that's the collaboration between companies to create networks and therefore create synergies. And in this way, you can use the resources more efficient. So it is about the collaboration between the companies. For maybe one has some waste which he doesn't need, and if he would put it just to the trash, then he has more costs. But maybe this waste can be a raw material for another company. So here, that's a point where companies can collaborate, and the products could be waste, energy, and water. And in this way, you can reduce the resource consumption. The waste volume is also decreased. You can reduce the reductions, and it can also become a new source of income for the company. And of course, it helps you to promote new innovations. In the next slides, I will show you 3 examples of industrial symbiosis we found in the interviews with the companies. The first one is the shared use of river water. So here in the area, there are 2 companies, which the first one on top is creating aluminium components for the automotive sector, which in the processes, they really need a lot of heat. And for the process cooling, they use river water. And the other company, which creates showers, they also use this river water in summer times for space cooling. But for example, in winter times, the process water, which is get heated up by the aluminium company, is used then at the second company for the space heating. So in this way, it's not just the shared use of the infrastructure, but also the shared use of the process water. The second example I want to show you is about a woodworking company and a local district heating plant. The woodworking company, they create wood panels, and they really start with the round wood and in their debarking process, they have a lot of bark, which they don't need. So this bark, they can directly give to the district heating plant, which use it for thermal energy. But also the woodworking company, in the production processes, they also have some leftovers and offcuts, residuals, which they use in their own company for thermal energy production. Sometimes, but they have too much. Sometimes they have not much and not enough. So there's also a bilateral connection between the district heating plant and the company, where they can help each other out with the thermal demand of the one or the other. The third example is a construction company in the area, which in their own company, they have a medium to large sized combined heat and power plant, which provides 840 kilowatts of electrical and 950 kilowatts of thermal energy. So they produce, their production exceeds their own demand quite a lot. So the electrical energy, which is not used by themselves, they fed it into the power grid. That way, the area can take this green produced energy, and also the company gets some money out of that. The thermal energy, for example, on the other hand, is after the own company's use is given to a neighbor's company, and the remaining heat is also transferred to the district heating plant in the area. But last but not least, we still have some challenges that we have to consider. First of all, every action that one's company makes has to be economically viable for the company or also for the customers, because if it's costs too much money, no one's gonna do it, or it's doesn't make sense for any company. Secondly, one big problem at the moment is that we have some legal restrictions and normative requirements which doesn't allow you to act completely freely. And this third problem at the moment is also that sometimes the companies, especially in the automotive sector, they are tied to planner and customer requirements. So they cannot really change the design, or they are really restricted to these requirements. And also these planners and customers, sometimes they don't have, they are not aware or sensibilized for sustainability or circular economy. So I think there is also a big challenge we have to tackle in the future. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. And I give the word back to Susanna.
Thank you very much, Johanna, for the very great presentation. So now we're gonna go for the next one. So the next speaker is gonna be Gunther Ziegert. He's responsible for research and pre-development at WFL. His work involves conducting marketing and feasibility studies, testing and optimizing new assembly groups on the WFL shop floor, and managing joint R&D projects in collaboration with universities. So Gunther.
Hello, can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
And I will share my screen real quick to give the presentation. So here it is. So, to reorganize it. Give me a second. Yeah, here we go. Can you see the slides now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to introduce my company and introduce you how sustainability can become a successful business model. We are a company we are building machine tools for mainly the aerospace industry. And yeah, I want to start to introduce my company so that you get a better feeling of what we are doing. We are a middle-sized company with 550 employees based in Austria, where also the whole production work is done. We bought a small automation company a few years ago so that we can offer our customers the whole production process from the raw part through the milling and the machining until to the finished part. We have 9 subsidiaries in, I see the slides are in German. This is not good. I have to switch them. Sorry. So let's try it again. This looks better. Yeah, we have 9 subsidiaries worldwide. That's it for the company. Here you can see the world map with all of our locations. Yeah, now I want to introduce the product. We are building tooling machines. It's called mill turn technologies. We can do turning and milling on one machine, and we have a lot of special editions so that we can also do deep hole boring, grinding, and so on. Yeah, the machine consists of mainly the 3-axis unit, which does the milling part, the main spindle, which is the main drive for the turning, a tailstock, steady rest, and chip disposal. So a conventional mill turn machine. This is an overview of the technologies we offer. So like I said, we do turning, boring, milling, deep hole boring, a lot of other stuff. The main concept of our machine, the main reason why we can do retrofitting is because we have a modular machine concept which allows us to exchange certain modules, even if they are older, and replace them with new ones. So this is very important if we want to offer our customers a retrofit or an upgrade of the machine to newer modules. Yeah, a few years ago, we saw that maybe used machines can be a business model. We started with it in 2016. where the first customers came up and say, hey, we are still lucky with our existing machines. Our guys can work with it. They are trained. We have the spare parts, but we want to keep the machine in production. And can you do an overhaul of the used machine so that we can use it for even longer? This is the first part of retrofitting we do. So we help our customers to keep the machines in production. And the second part is machines that are sold by our customers. So we go to the customer side. We take a look on the machines, how much work it has to be done, and then we buy it by ourselves, do the retrofitting, and then sell them as used to new customers. So these are the two main roads we go with the used machines business. Up to now, we have retrofitted up to 40 machines. And if we think about it, there are 1,400 WFLs on the market. There's a huge market share we can still use. What are the market expectations? The customers very often want shorter delivery times. If you think that a new machine project takes about 1.5 years from offering until delivery, so this is a very long time, and a lot of customers do not have the time to wait until the production starts. So very often for them, buying a used machine, which is, let's say, which can be delivered in half a year, is the better option for them. Yeah, as WFL, we can offer OEM service for our customers even if they buy used machines. We can customize the machines to the expectations the customer has, and we can offer the training and the service over the second lifespan as well. Yeah, what do we guarantee for our used machines? WFL guarantees a machine geometry which is as good as the geometric behavior as when the machine was new. We give our customers warranty on all exchanged parts. We do the installation and the commissioning on the customer side. We do a geometric final acceptance so that the customer can be sure that the quality of the machine is good if it goes into production. And we offer the technical supports afterwards when the machine is handed over to the production. What are the advantages? Like we already mentioned, the machine is more cost effective. So we talk about 70% of the cost of a new machine. We have way shorter delivery times. We can consider special requests from the customer and tailor the machine to the customer's needs. We are extending the lifetime, so we don't use the resources for a new machine if the customer can still prolong the lifetime of the existing machines. We have, as OEM, we have a high level of know-how and competence so that he doesn't have to go to a third-party retrofitter. Yeah, we can even build in new options and new control generations so that the used machines have more functions than when it was sold the first times. And the customer has a better availability of spare parts. Even if there are legacy parts, we exchange them to deliverables, and so we can also offer spare parts for the old machines even in the future. There are certain retrofit levels we offer. It goes from basic to advanced, let's say it like this. So the level 1, the basic level, is just bring the machine to our shop floor, do the cleaning, exchange the basic wear parts and the safety components like screens, which have to be changed. by law. We do a determination of the actual machine geometry, and we check all functions, and then we hand it over to the customer. The next level is exchange of more wear parts. So we do all the ball bearings in the milling spindles and in the turning spindles. We give the customer warranty for all exchanged parts. And we do an acceptance part to ensure that the machine has a fairly good machine geometry. The next level is we add additional functional modules like grinding modules and so on. And we do a retrofit of the control unit, which brings it to the newest generation of the NCU, which has much more functions than, let's say, the control unit 10 years ago. And the last level, the highest level, is we do a full project with tool layout, with a customer part, with commissioning, with final acceptance, and with training, and then hand it over to the production guys of the customer. Yeah, here you can see two pictures of the machine when it arrives at WFL shop floor and how it looks like when it's then delivered to the customer. And the last slide is a brief time lapse where you can see the whole process. Yeah, that's it from my side. If there are any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much, Gunther. Thank you for the very interesting presentation and case. So now we're gonna move for the next speaker. So now we're gonna have Julius. Julius Schaufler is the co-founder and managing director of Concular, and also serves as a co-founder, business developer, and circular designer at RECENTRE. Julius, are you there? Yeah.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Thanks for the invitation. Happy to present a bit of our work and what we do in the field of AI. Gonna share my slides. Okay, so Concular is a company that aims to transform the building sector with applying circular economy and the reuse of materials. We have like work with like partners from different areas and offer like software tools, consulting services, and also actually perform the deconstruction and the material loop of materials. We are mainly operating in Germany, have different locations here, and work for like public and private asset managers. And What's the question for us is always how can we bridge the gap between existing buildings and deconstruction and new buildings where materials can be reused. And this all starts with information, and we call it the urban mining information gap, because we don't know much about existing buildings. Most of the existing buildings are from before 79, and at that time we didn't have any CAD software or 3D planning, so we mostly deal with printed plans if they're actually available. Sometimes they don't even exist, so we need to first find out what is actually in the building and get digital information about that. And the other thing is that to know where these materials could fit in, we need to understand what is the demand and what is actually planned in upcoming projects. And for that, we rely basically on BIM, so Building Information Modeling, which is like a digitization standard for construction, where you have 3D models and they have some annotation, ideally, about the materials that will be used or needed. And but still, this is kind of a standard that still evolves. It's not completely standardized. Every planning company is somehow doing their own schema there, so it's hard to bridge actually these two informations. But these are relevant to understand what we have and where it can be brought back in. So how we start with this is that we digitize existing buildings. So we digitize all the materials. We also develop a standard with the German norm for this kind of process. And we go through the building and collect basically information about what is there, how is it built in, how easy is it to deconstruct, and which condition is it, and what are other specifications that are relevant for us to understand what is actually the inventory that we have. That's the first part, and the second part is then to integrate into the planning process, where we develop software for planners to do certifications, LCAs, and like ecological assessments, and measure the circularity of their upcoming project. That is also integrated into plugins for planners, and this is like where we get information about what is actually planned in the next years. So here from that, basically we get the demand, one part of the demand that we can work with, and where we can make recommendations which materials could fit into their upcoming planning. To complete what we are actually doing, so if we have identified demand and a material supply that fits together, we are also fulfill like all the different steps that are needed to bring this material back in. We support in the deconstruction, in the interim storage, and logistics. And for the upcoming buildings, we create material passports to collect this information and store it for long term. So we are working on like a lot of projects. It's about 500 projects in the last 5 years that we supported with these services that we bring in, and where we actually help to make this project more circular and to save resources, like primary materials, and use reused materials instead. And by that we also save the the carbon footprint of production and a lot of waste. This kind of matchmaking between the supply and demand that we're always dealing with is something that we looked into now with an AI project, which we did together with an initiative from the state, and it's a program called Green AI Hub. And the interesting part is that we get a development partner from the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence. So basically developers that work with us on solving problems with AI. And usually if the first question is why using AI, but this comes to that point a bit later. First, this is something we didn't do just on our own. We also had a partner, Circular Structural Design, brought in a lot of expertise from reusing structural elements, which is interesting because these are elements that have like a lot of different requirements to work. Like load bearing, like different sizes you need to look into to have like a stability in the building and things like that. So we got a lot of input into this project from the experts on this. And our hypothesis was to say, okay, if we want to reuse building components, it's actually important that these components can be considered very early in the planning phases, so that I have still room to adapt my planning to the material that are actually available. And so having a set of possible components fitting to the planning, that would be like the match, would lower the effort for the planner and is like a low barrier to start reusing materials. So for the matchmaking, I explained it already. We have these two informations, or this information gap, which we solved by our services already in a way. But to create like the perfect match between these two data points is quite complex, because we have like to look into a lot of different factors, from the product information, the demand, and additional factors like time, cost, footprint, logistics. Like there's a lot of parameters involved. And another interesting part is that components can be adapted to the new planning. So you can resize it, you can repurpose it, you can combine two things to get to the same result. So we also wanted to look into the tolerances and the strategies that we can apply on that to create a match that works. And yeah, this was our challenge. So we said, okay, to consider all these different factors, we need like an intelligent system that balances out and finds like the best match. And that's basically the concept, or the chart how we started. We have the information from the left from the planning, and from the right side from the existing buildings, and then there's some recommended system in between that looks like for the perfect matches, depending on some parameters that we fed into the system to understand. Okay, steel beam I can shorten, I can even make it longer if I put this and this connection to it, but it cannot be shorter than thing ABC, because then it would not work with the load bearing. So these factors we put into the project, and then together with the German Institute for Artificial Intelligence, we developed this kind of matchmaking recommender system that gives out creates an output of possible matches for my planning. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius, for the very interesting use case. So now we can address some questions. So if you have some questions, so you can post in the chat too at any time. So, okay. So if you don't have any questions, we're gonna move on to the Slido. Just share my screen again. So here, the Slido. Did you gonna go for the answers of the Slidos then? Yeah. So here, we're gonna present the answers of the Slidos. Insert. Yeah. Okay. So the first question was, what do you think is the most critical factor in achieving sustainability in Industry 5.0? And we got implementation of circular economic practices with 50% and 40% of workforce upskilling for sustainability. The second one was, what is the biggest challenge in transitioning to sustainable industrial practices? And we have three: lack of clear regulatory frameworks or incentives, limited access to expertise or knowledge, and resistance to change within the organization. The other one was, how familiar are you with technologies like digital twins or IoT for improving resource efficiencies? And we got 80% of I heard of them, but lack hands-on experience. This is very interesting. Therefore, what motivates your organization to adopt sustainable practices? And we got a tie, cost savings from energy resource efficiency, and genuine commitment to environmental responsibility, and regulatory requirements and compliances. The fifth one was, what do you see as the primary driver of global sustainable development in the next decade? And we got 45% on international collaboration on climate initiatives. And the last one, what type of sustainability training would be most impactful for your organization? And we got 45% on hands-on experience with digital twins or IoT system, and 36% of peer-to-peer learning and cross-industry collaboration. So these were the answers for this Slido. So now we're gonna go for the roundtable. So the first way is gonna be with my colleague Matej Kern, and these speakers are gonna be Javier Battinger. He's the director of the business development department of RECO's Industry Trends. He has been in the company for 20 years and leads the implementation of RECO Group Circular Economy. He specializes in designing process and business model. The second one is going to be Gunther Ziegert. We already know him. He's responsible for research and development of the WFL. Matteo De Mark, the assistant professor at the University of Bolzano. And Johanna Kagrube, who present their dossier on the other talk. So now I'll give the floor to Matej.
Yeah, thank you, Susanna. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I don't see a slide, but no problem. Okay, this round table we will have for distinguished guests. And I would like to start with the lady. This roundtable will be more strategically signaled. So we would like to ask maybe what are the key challenges that our companies are facing in your country or otherwise, and how can deal with it? How can mitigate it?
Thank you for the question. It really depends a little bit on the sector, I would say. So what I saw in the automotive sector, for example, the key challenge is are the costs at the moment. So that was really one of the biggest challenges at the moment, and also legislation from the European Union which restricts them some ways, or I mean, it's good to have the legislations, but they have strong competitors in the Asian part. For other sectors, for example, I could really see that challenging things are logistics, where the companies really struggle to optimize the logistics from the fleet, from the machines, also with the people, and to use the data for that. So I heard from some companies that they also want to implement this a little bit with AI, but it's not so it's more in testing phase, and they struggle with that. Yeah.
So they are basically struggling with the cost, with skills. So
yeah, data management and yeah.
Okay. I would like also to ask Gunther, what is your opinion, or what do you see in your sector? What is the most challenging thing that companies have to deal with it? We can't hear you.
Sorry, like Johanna already mentioned, the cost part is one of the most challenging parts, because our customers very often, even if there are ways to make the machinery more energy efficient, the buyers or the guys who are responsible for buying the machine, they are looking on every cent, and they are not using the more energy efficient pumps. For example, they would save 30% of the energy cost of the pump system, but this money is not invested. Even if it saves money, even if it saves cost for the customer on the long run, yeah, because maybe energy is still too cheap. That is what I think.
Maybe I will add on also. What is your opinion in Germany that you are changing the energy from basically from so you are closing all the nuclear parts, and then you're going to a more green energy? What is your opinion, or what kind of situation is now in Germany?
I'm not from Germany, but as far as I see it from here in Austria, I think it's a big risk the government is taking, because as long as the energy is coming from France, everything is okay. But if they need it for themselves, I think they will have a big problem, and you shouldn't do that. You should have a plan B. And I don't see this in Germany at the moment. So this is what I think to this topic.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. I would like to add, Javier, what are you thinking about the topic?
Well, so first of all, can you hear me properly? Yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Looks like. Okay. Well, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me to this virtual roundtable. Very pleased to join this call with interesting people and experts. As said, I'm working for RECO Industrie France, so the RECO group. And one of the challenges, and we've got many challenges to deal with, to be honest, but one of them is the transportation of used cartridges between several countries within Europe. To make a long story short, basically we collect used assets from our customers within Europe, Middle East, and Africa. But due to the regulation, they consider these used assets, which is basically our raw material, as waste. And so if I am thinking, for instance, about the Basel Convention, which is there in order to protect, of course, us as citizens, but it's not well designed if we speak about reuse business. And so for us, it means additional administrative jobs, and of course, additional jobs and costs. So yeah, one of the challenge in this specific business area is the regulation, which is not, unfortunately, pro recycling and circular economy as of today.
Okay, what is how to deal with regulations or with additional cost of administration, and how it is going in Italy, Matteo?
So, hello once again. In Italy, I think we can have a very similar discussion as for other European countries. I don't know, maybe somebody can counterfight this opinion, but since today I have very much the feeling that Europe is somehow the leading, the entity that is asking or telling the companies and organizations how to behave with different green deals and so on. Therefore, I think that the objectives of, let me say, all of us are pretty much the same. I wanted to go back a little on the discussion on the source of energy that you were mentioning before for Germany, for example. We had contact, let's say, with producers of core elements for nuclear plants. And they have quite interestingly expressed the idea that you were mentioning Germany, that correctly on the news, we knew that they were aiming of shutting off the nuclear plants in order to move to different types of energy sources. But we all know that some geopolitical events actually occurred in the last years. And this project apparently has shifted, or at least is not as strong as it happened to be. And here we also have to think about the density of the different energy sources. And actually, if we are having a discussion on green, there we should ask ourselves whether nuclear energy production is actually green or not, or if the problem here is the management of the waste or the danger of having the nuclear plants. But I think this is a discussion that everybody of us has already heard or has already an opinion with, and it's not the topic of the talk of today. But most importantly is the energy density of each source of energy or power, right? Because if we think about solar or wind energy, how much the dimensions of the parks, of the eolic parks that we have to build, or of the solar panels that we need to have in order to power energy or densely energy productions, such as for metallurgy or something like that. It would be very difficult to think of having the entire production systems of a country relying on the energies, on the renewable energies, so how we are seeing them today. Therefore, a big change, I think, and a big wave of innovation will come in the research of dense energy sources that may be alternative or complementary to, for example, solar, wind, or oceanic energy production. And on that side, I think there comes the lack of knowledge or the misinformation of people in general, whether in industry or in everyday life, where misconceptualizations of very specific and technical concepts are thrown out, and people have difficulties. This is in our experience as lecturers, to distinguish what is technically true and acceptable and what is not. Therefore, maybe one of the biggest advice that we can provide is to always try to dig into the information by yourself and try to understand whether what you are hearing at the news or what you're reading on the paper is actually a viable solution, actually something true, or something that has been stated for any other specific reason, and for not getting technical. So this is a general idea on the topic, and for the experience that we have, the misinformation is always a huge danger in several different topics. So especially for the green transition and the sustainability, where we can have several different opinions coming in, we have to be very good to stand our point and be mindful, especially if we are operating small medium enterprises or organizations with limited resources in any different aspect. So this is pretty much it.
If I can continue also with you, Matteo, what will be your proposal? What will be the first steps that companies have to address in this challenge, in this changing from these singular processes basically to more circular and green transition processes in their companies?
So thank you for asking me the first step, because I think it's the most easy one. Then we leave the other one to the other speakers. No, kidding apart, in my opinion, the first step is awareness. So being aware about what you're doing today and what you should do tomorrow in order to reach the goals that you want to achieve. In the experience that we have, both in the academic sector as well as with practitioners from industry, it's very difficult to have a starting point. So to have the awareness and the knowledge to say, okay, this is my starting point, and this is now my goal. What comes in the middle is the process. And we know the process may need knowledge, may need experts, may need expertise that can be put together. But it is very difficult for somebody else that is not you to understand your system. So you should be the first person, or the first entity, let's say, the first organization, to have the power to know and describe your system. In this case, for example, for the carbon footprint, I have to know my organization, my supply chain, and be able to describe it in its finest details. Then from there, I can think of setting a goal and then setting a process to reach this goal. So first of all, my answer for the step one would be awareness of current situation.
Okay, thank you. Now, if I can maybe continue to another step, or just step by step, how to prepare an activity plan, or some or how to deal with this transition in different countries. Maybe, Gunther, what will be your next step, or maybe step 2 and step 3 in this transition?
The next step will be, like Matteo already mentions, will be the evaluation of our product, to have really the complete carbon footprint from the first screw to the last computer that is in the office building, so that we really know how much carbon do we produce in our manufacturing process, and where it would be most likely to have success to save it. So I think this has to be the next step from our side, because at the moment there are, from the EU, there are no regulations. Nobody knows how the the information transfer system for this carbon footprint information will be for the scope 3. So I think this has to be where our energy or our focus has to be in the next years to go from scope 2 to the scope 3 in carbon reduction.
Joanna, how can we maybe overcome a lack of motivation or lack of activities in the companies right now, or in the whole let's say environment? How to deal with that?
I think here comes the company or the management of the company is very important for that, because I think how they lead the company, what their visions are, is very important for the employees, that they also work in that way, that they think maybe in a different way. And I also saw in companies that they do some sustainability training or how to think green in the company. So to foster also this out of the box thinking of the employees, and to think of what happens out of the company boundaries, and maybe they implement sustainable actions also in their daily life, and with that we change slowly the system by itself.
So basically doing the small steps.
Yeah. But I also think it's already important that we start early. I mean, I think the younger generations, they, with the Fridays for Futures and all of these things happening right now, I think they are more aware than the elder people. But it's also, I think it's really to raise awareness in the whole society, so that you really see what happens with your actions, and what where is your leverage, what can you do. And here we can start early, but it's also important to look at older people or professionals, and I think everyone is missing some awareness here.
And Javier, how will you basically continue this chain of change of transformation? What is your opinion? We don't hear you. Sorry.
Excuse me, the sound was bad. Can you just rephrase it?
Yes. How will you continue this chain of transformation in the society or in the companies? So we are talking about some steps. What will be the next step or next level of change?
Alors, if I speak about my company, the most critical part as of today, the main change will be the introduction of artificial intelligence in our processes, because today it's still not fully the case. What we should keep in mind is that when we speak as a manufacturer about circular economy, generally speaking, it's very difficult to automatize process. That's the first thing. So automation is a very challenging part, because with a linear production, of course, you've got virgin raw material, and virgin raw material is very easy to standardize the process. Whereas when you've got recycling production line, you've got a big fluctuation on your virgin material, on your raw material, because of course it's not virgin. So automation is one key point. And secondly, usage of artificial intelligence in order to anticipate the returns of used assets from the field. Because as of today, we are sometimes a bit blind about the potential of raw material we can capture from the field. And so thinking about the next step moving forward, for me, that's an essential, a key factor of success, is to be able to better anticipate within the supply chain the potential of returns from the field. Of course, I say that because you've got limitation. perhaps in the future we will have massive returns from the field, and then it's going to be easier to manage. But yeah, today that's one of the challenge, and moving forward, that's something we will focus on.
So we came also to our previous webinar where we are talking about the skills and basically the skills for a people, and basically people need to address and need to deal with these changes. Also it's very important management. And if I may go to another questions that is maybe a little bit debateful, how to deal with the basically how you see the balance between the sustainability goals and green transitions and business grow evolving in the next 5 to 10 years in this basically with triple transition, maybe Matteo.
Yeah, this is a very broad question, I would say, with a very broad answer. So if I understood well your intention, I think that the green transition today, and this will be also a next step following the steps we were listening for, should become somehow part of the core business of the companies. From what we see in practice, it is seen or perceived today as an add-on or as something that I must do to comply with some regulation, for example. But it's very difficult to embrace this feeling and see the green transition as a potential also for the economy and also for the market and for the profit of a company. For that, I don't have a precise answer, but the point is that if a company does not do green transition because it must do it, but because it wants to do it, and it's able to do that by also gaining competitive advantage and competitive knowledge by doing the green transition, then we will all be willing to do and to take part into this green transition, right? Because if we are able to turn the obligation into a driver, into a desire, because it has some kind of drawbacks, of positive drawbacks for the stakeholders that are involved, then everything will become way more clear and maybe easier, because when I really want to do something, I guess it's also quite then easier to achieve the goals. So I think that one of the challenges that are underlying all discussions that we are having is not representing the green transition as maybe a limitation to the automation or to the amount of energy we can consume, of the type of energy that we can consume, but how can we reach the goals by making our systems more efficient and therefore maybe having more margin on our gains and so on. So that's, I think, the long-term direction, also to try to bring this discussion a bit to a final point.
How can like EU and European projects like this RECENTRE, in your opinion, can help or can encourage businesses to in this green transition or in this transition basically to Industry 5.0? Joanna.
I think because the project they are really practical, and sometimes I think also you mentioned it before that you are helping companies and really work with them together to go into this direction. And also we in our project we do trainings with companies or also in schools, and we try to create material which they can use and also afterwards. So I think with projects like ours, they make maybe problems visible, and find or try to find some solutions which they can give to the companies and help them to change to Industry 5.0.
Gunther, how can we enlarge or grow the amount of like use cases like your own? So basically, how to if we will see us in, I don't know, 5 years, how can we assure that we will have more companies that will be evolved in the green transition and will be processing basically and doing business in Industry 5.0?
Like in our use case, it can only work if the customer has a bigger benefit. So I think if there isn't any monetary benefit to our customers or to whoever does is part of the transition, it will get stuck. And so maybe we need some governance or some regulations that somehow shift the focus also of our customers so that they take profit out of it, because otherwise it's only a hindrance. So you get hindered and you there is no reason to do this step. This is how I see it.
And Javier, what would you add to this debate or to this question?
Well, first of all, as said by Matteo, I think he's fully right. I think it should be included in the core business. And so that's why it's very important to embrace these challenges as regular objectives and not on top of. So that's the first thing must be said. After, as you just mentioned, you spoke about customer. Of course, we have to highlight the benefits, and I think that's a key driver. Also, let's keep in mind that all of us, if we speak about recycled or circular economy oriented products, we're a bit schizophrenic. What I mean is that as a customer, most of us, we are always looking for the best value for price. But unfortunately, at the end, when we need to sign for the bill, if I may say, we are looking for, in case of recycled product, we're looking for a cheaper price. And this is a bit schizophrenic. We are not keen, as of today, most of us, keen to pay the same price for something recycled than for something which is new. And that's a fact. Even me, I'm super engaged, but sometimes I'm like, I would like to have a cheaper price for recycled product when I know it's recycled, which is a bit schizophrenic and not normal, because when being in this kind of business, you will see that there is a lot of hidden cost, a lot of cost related not to the material itself, but for instance, as I explained before, to the reverse logistic. And so being an actor in the circular economy doesn't mean that the product itself is always cheaper. Sometimes it's at the same cost. So that's why, coming back to the first statement made by Joanna, I think it's about education. And as you mentioned, I'm keen to see that the younger generation now are more aware about the importance to reduce our consumption of virgin materials.
Thank you. If we can like conclude or this our short debate and short discussion, what will be one word which you want to enlighten or how? Okay, we will go like with, as we started with chain. If you start with step 1, then so we will have 4 steps or 4 words we want to basically to signal. What will be yours to conclude the debate? Maybe Javier.
Oh, that's a big question. Well, I would say we shouldn't give up. That's the key word. Let's, if we trust in it, then all together we can achieve it. But as said before, many challenges in order to build up a sustainable society. And we have seen that in US, for instance, the situation is more complicated than it was before. So yeah, we need to trust in it. And at our level, me as a citizen or as part of a company that trusts in circular economy business, then every single step is important. And so, yeah, I would say in French, courage, n'abandonnons pas.
So trust the process. Joanna.
Yeah.
I think one word would be collaborate. So it's not only one company's business, it's all together. We have to work together, think what we can share with each other and make the best out of that.
Thank you. Gunther?
I would say focus on the things that make a difference and they are feasible at the moment, and don't try to solve all the problems at once. It will not happen, I think.
And Matteo to finish. So basically we are going to trust the process, collaborate, and focus on the very important things and how to finish.
And I would say trust or trustworthiness of processes, of change, of people, of algorithms, of anything that could support us in this journey that started actually a long time ago, but likely is not going to end tomorrow. Therefore, we have to trust the process and stay together and all the things that we actually said up to now.
Thank you for trusting us and joining us on this webinar. Thank you for a very fruitful and very insightful debate. I know we can have it for 2 and more hours, but we want even the beginning to talk about this topic. But I would like to ask if we have any of the questions from in the chat, or anyone would like to ask something and unmute himself. Trust, baby, trust.
Instead of drill.
Thank you. If we don't have any questions,
there are 2 questions in the chat, so maybe we can address those with all the combined power of attendees and speakers.
Okay. Can you read it? I don't see.
Yeah, the first one, it's actually addressed to Mr. Schoffele. So it says, how do you deal with the storage materials and the time required between deconstruction and reuse of materials? So this is one of the questions. Maybe we have some opinion on this.
I don't think so. Mr. Schoffele, I don't him in the participants list, so maybe we can address this question to him and he can answer via mail.
Yeah, and the other one is for Mr. Jan Viditz, and it says, how does their own solution only applies to tenders for single entities, or does it also apply to partners and collaboration needs? I think Mr. Viditz also left, so we'll address this question via email.
Yeah, so maybe this is a sign that we are a little bit late.
And we have one more question.
Okay.
It says that it was mentioned earlier that companies could implement green transitions to save money on the long run, but the experience is that amortization rates of more than 3 years usually lead to a rejection of the measure. How do the panelists feel about this? How to solve this issue of amortization versus green transitions?
I think that's a question only the market can solve. So it will not change, at least for now.
Or probably regulation. situations.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then you have both hands on your back, and China is going
Exactly.
far. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
If we don't have any questions, thank you very much, everyone. And I will go to Jože or Susanna for last words, and thank you our panelists for a discussion.
Just don't forget to answer our feedback questionnaire. Here's the key arc, and I put the link in the chat. And we're gonna have 2 more webinars, but in the future, just keep posted and check the news. We're gonna tell you. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much also from our side. So keep posted. I hope I think the use cases presented are very interesting. And again, big thanks for all the speakers for presenting this. And hopefully see you soon on our next 2 webinars.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.